Let's jam. All right. Sorry about the delays, folks. Tremendous apologies. We just got some technical difficulties. Hopefully, we have sorted it for the moment. All right. So once again, I'm Strash, he, him. One of the streamers here. You should be excited about new shows. Lauren, take it away. Hopefully, we'll get to Judd before everything goes to pieces again.
I'll make it brief. I'm Lauren. I use she, they. I'm excited to be here, Judd.
I'm Judd, he, him, and our time on this earth is very finite and fleeting, and who knows what could happen. So let's game.
All right.
Beautiful.
You could freeze at any moment. Any moment you could freeze. The internet gods can just reach down. The internet gods just reach down and snuff you out.
All right, cool. So last time, a body was found, spirit severed. There was a feeling of something watching it. Our intrepid investigator walked into the canals and accessed the ether, as it were. We took a trip to Imperial City. We talked to the head of investigator training there. It was like a lady with like a half-burnt face from the recent war. We came back. We had a night on the town. That was fun. And there's a couple of important tidbits, which is to say that, what's the name of the kid that gave us the body?
Oh, Nogs.
Nogs got promoted to being the liaison for Silk Shore. Yay. 2, I talked to the assassin. I talked to
Yeah, totally.
I forget her name now.
Shoot.
Levette,
yeah.
Yes, I talked to Levette about assassinations and attack vectors, right? And I don't know, what else did we do? I forget now. My notes are very sparse.
I know that Telsius was sent to help us out on this case.
Oh no! Not the cyborg! Okay.
The gentleman with the quicksilver in his veins. The
creepy and awesome Idris Elba Imperial half-wizard guard person. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He is awesome. Just, Drav is, like, totally creepified out by anything that doesn't have red blood in his veins. So.
Fair.
Cool. Sweet. Alright. What phase are we in? I forget. I know we usually leave ourselves notes. Hang on. It should be in Roll20.
I'll look at, how messed up I am. That's always a good indication.
We didn't leave ourselves a note this time. I was not smart.
I have all my stress, so I'm assuming that means we did some down. Oh yeah, I think we did an end on downtime last time.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think we launched into any jobs yet or anything.
We need to figure out a vector for investigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what I suggested our 2 paths were, but I do distinctly remember that Drav was like, you and the cool-looking Quicksilver Guard should go and do something super important over here while I go away from you and do something else over here. But I don't remember what the 2 things were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got the body. We've got we know that that they were a member of a cult.
That's right.
I've been playing too much Perseus, so I was like, oh yeah, the cult of Ash and Bone, of course. But
they are demon summoners in New York City. Actually, we should have a discussion after this about whether you folks would be interested in doing a Perseus episode or 2 on stream.
Oh heck yeah!
So that probably might happen. That probably might happen after the show wraps up. I think we can jump into some fun one shots every other Saturday. Anyway, back in game. All right. Yes. So cult. Do we know what cult said person was part of, Judd?
I believe it was a squid cult.
Oh.
Okay.
Neat. Gonna update my notes to squid cult.
Do we know? Okay. Cool.
I think we also talked about like approaching the founding families, because there was like the whole thing about like, oh, they're probably the least happy about what's happening right now. So
yeah, people are pointing us at them pretty hard. sense of bullshit detection says that the governor is probably more involved than the founding families necessarily, but
Yes.
yeah, that dude's been shady the whole time, Judd. From episode 1, like season 1, that dude's been super shady. As a matter of fact, we've seen him have shady meetings off screen. Yeah, I think we're not letting him off the hook that easy. Just because you're making faces at us doesn't mean I'm taking that to be canon. All right. All right. Cool. So, Lauren, I don't know how you want to divvy this up. I am totally happy to go and hit the streets and see if I can. Well, actually, let's just decide this. Like, if we're doing downtimes, doing a job is totally fine. I can try to acquire the asset, the name and location of this club. We can decide how we want to approach them. Like, do we want to talk to them? Do we want to kick doors open? Do we, like, what's the... The other thing that might be important is the particular stance of soul severing. So, like, the bell didn't ring when that guy died, which means that they're able to conceal the death from the site of the crows that live in Bellwether Crematorium. And the thing is that that sort of ability is known to happen with certain assassin types. It could also mean that the guy's not dead. It could just mean that somebody did some weird spirit surgery and removed his soul from his body. Although I'm not 100% sure how the crow ritual works. I don't actually understand that. So I don't know if you and Telsius want to go and interrogate some spirit wardens, find out what could do something like that. That might give us some clues. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
What do you feel like? What do you want to investigate? Is our cults interesting to you? Our founding families interesting to you? Do you want to push on some people? What's in your gut?
Oh well, you know, anything that lets me use a tune is always super fun, and also potentially dangerous. No, I think like I'm just trying to weigh up like what is more likely in terms of it being an assassin versus like spirit surgery or both. Yeah, no, I'm keen to look into some cult stuff. That sounds fun if we want to go that route. But I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud.
No,
who has the body?
Well, I think you said you would handle the body. So, what did you do with the body?
I mean, it's gonna be conveniently misplaced en route to Bellwether, but it will end up in the hands of the spirit wardens eventually. It's just that I really want some smart, skilled, spirit-oriented individuals to maybe take a look at it. Well, Maya Tui already looked at it, and she found out what she could find out. I don't know that there's a lot more left to do there. I think I'm just gonna have to hit the streets. I know that that's like yet more downtime actions, which we don't have, but
that's like was it free play it?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to go and talk to the Dimmer sisters and see if they have ideas for what could do this more salient and educated if their guesses are more educated than mine, as it were.
So I was saying, God, the chat just asked like, what would we get draw fired? You should do that one. I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Which one leaves draw in a position to get most fired? If I go and I push on the founding families, I probably will get fired. That is true. And they are the most likely to pull me into a fight. That is also true.
Yes. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think hitting this... Yeah, do we want to sort of split up and hit the streets in different ways to try and get some leads?
If you and Telsius want to look into the high society angles, I'm probably going to be more harm than good there, to be frank with you.
Cool.
And I can go look at some of our unsavory contacts that we don't necessarily want to reveal to Telsius. So...
good thinking.
Do we want to do this as like a bounce back and forth, Judd, where two of us are talking to two groups and we just switch scenes as necessary?
It sounds good.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Do we need to make an engagement roll, or does this feel like we just jump into scenes?
I feel like we should play the rules. Yeah, let's make an engagement roll.
Awesome. Is there a special engagement? Oh, that's right. It's in the book. Is it 137, I think?
Yeah. Yup. 128.
Close.
Is the operation particularly bold or daring? No. Does it expose the vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Nope. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid? No.
I don't actually, I'm going to call you on that. I'm going to talk to people that are technically allies. And
Okay.
she is showing up with the backing of the Emperor and Telsius. I feel like that's some aid.
All right, I'll give you a die on it.
One
Okay.
die, yes! Which is about to become 0 in a second. Continue.
We
And
might die talking to people.
There was another like follow-up question or investigative question that we had that was does it follow a lead that you've gathered in the case? And that is a yes. So you've got 3 dice.
But it's -1 because we're going up against... actually, it's 2 dice because we only get 1 for following the lead and 1 for having friends and allies help us. We don't get the base 1
right.
for it being boulder daring.
Right.
But we also get -1D because they're a higher tier than us. Both groups are. So
Right.
not trying to throw us into hot fire, but I have to be genuine here. Shall I throw a die?
Yeah, please.
All right, cool. So we get a 5, which means that on a 4 to 5, we start in a risky position.
Okay. Cool.
Do you want to jump in and talk to some nobles? That feels pretty risky.
Yeah, let's do it. I feel like this is I was trying to think I was like, oh, we'll probably just have some tea casually with them at their places. But maybe this is more of like an official door knock. I'm not sure what's more appropriate.
Which family do you want to go talk to?
Oh, good question.
Do we do a montage?
Let's go around town talking to all the founding families. Who would be good to start with? I'm trying to remember who they all are.
I just have this image in my head of you sitting in a chair and Telsius is over your shoulder and what you say is we are here, and then it does that cut where it's the exact same position and framing, but you have a different dress indicating it's a different time of day or a different day entirely, and you're we're here to ask you some questions about the Immortal Emperor.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's very good. I love that. Yeah, and I think we keep spinning, right? And the spinning shows you and Telsius kind of making eye contact sideways as each one of them says, I'd be happy to
in stereo where available.
Yeah, no, but I think it's so there are the Bowmores, the Clellans, the Dunvilles, the Penderins, and the Strangfords, because the Rowans are no more. And so you see each of them take a word as they say, I would love to help the Emperor in any way I can. How can I help you?
The Bowmores, the McClellans, run me through this one more time.
Bowmores, Clellans, Dunvilles, Penderins, and the Strangfords.
I remember Bowmores, my computer auto-corrected it to boomers.
There's going to be a lot of that in this case.
Okay, Bowmore.
Oh no, I love it. And I'm trying to rack my brains on with the Rowans, what other families were super linked in up to what they were doing. Because they might, I don't know if that's a good place to start with. It's the usual
it was
suspects.
mostly the Bowmores, right? I mean, the Bowmores were involved in that whole mess. The Penderin family is the relation to Lord Penderin, who he was a minor lord, but he was the guy who smuggled out the wizard ghost. So there's that.
Oh yeah. That might be a good place to start. Let's talk to the Penderins first.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. The Penderins haven't been in their tower for decades. They've got a beautiful mansion over in Brightstone, and right near Unity Park.
Oh, lovely.
They say, "How can we help you, Inspector?"
Yes, well, where are we seated at their? Are we just like sort of around their parlor, or like, yeah, is this like at the front door?
No, this is out in their garden.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
But I think like Maya does the whole like sort of show the mandate to the Pandurans, and says like, well, we just have a couple of questions for you about a recent incident. We can take it here or wherever else you would be more comfortable.
Oh, I think here in the garden is fine. We'd love to help you in any way we can.
I thank you for your accommodation. And I think I don't see much reason to like sort of speak around what happened. So I think like yeah, I think I'll just lead in with like this. So we uncovered the body of a local that goes by the name of Skinner, I believe.
Oh, what a colorful name! Those scoundrels, so colorful. And I think Lady Pendrin is a younger city councilor member. She's probably like in her early 30s, and I think she is one of, she's like a lord who spent her 20s going out in Leviathan hunter ships.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So she's wearing kind of like, she's no longer a Leviathan hunter captain. She retired in order to come serve at the city council for her family, sitting on her family seat. But she's wearing something that definitely is like a nautical suit, like it's reminiscent of what a sea captain would wear.
For some reason, I picture her like sort of like clipping leaves and trimming, like doing that kind of gardening work while we're talking.
Cool. Yeah, she's totally doing that. Yep.
I think like Maya nods at the comment and says like, yes, colorful is definitely a word for it. But somewhat distressingly, he had plans to very, very, very detailed plans on assassinating a particularly important member of our good society here.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad he was caught. Well done. How can I help you?
Well, I wish it was as easy as wrapping up where we presently stand. Alas, I sincerely doubt that a colorful sort like Mr. Skinner came up with that plan by himself. And so we're doing our very, very best to ensure that we maintain the safety of important folks around this place. Have you have you had any cause for concern for your personal safety in the past month or so?
Past month or so? No, not any more than usual.
Indeed. And how were you affected by the war, if you don't mind me asking?
I was serving Akaros by getting Leviathan ship blood. Several of my siblings served, though. And some of them came back and some of them didn't.
Oh, my condolences on your loss.
Mm-hmm.
Explain
to me again how this assassination plot concerns me. I'm confused. I'm just trying to ascertain if you're trying to bring down our house or protect it. I understand that with your investigative unit, sometimes it seems like one, but it's really the other.
I think like Maya gives one of those like very like passive aggressive wasp smiles like back at her, right? And says like, well, of course, we can get straight to the heart of the matter. Uh, it regards spirits, Lady Penderin, or lack thereof. This particular victim was found severed from his soul,
Ah,
and the bell did not ring. And just based on personal history that I have with your good house, I thought you would be somewhat experts on the matter.
you're talking about my cousin.
Indeed.
Hmm.
Is he
It's a
about
shame.
perchance?
It's a shame that.
Oh, how so?
He was murdered by a ghost that he smuggled out of an archive that he was responsible for.
Right. Um, and does his area of expertise like run in the family per se?
Spirit matters? No, not really. I left that to the demonologists aboard the ship.
I see.
And, all right, so she's going to ask you a question, and then we're going to cut to Drav. She says, "Do you like hanging around in Brightstone Gardens, or do you want to cut the shit and get to it?"
Nice.
And then we'll cut to Drav.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think Drav is probably got like a corpse on a boat, and I'm going up a at this point kind of familiar underground pier, because I'm trying to like I think I get there, I put it on the dock, I flip the ferryman a coin, right,
Cool.
and then I I knock politely with a corpse over my back, rolled up in something, on the door for the Dimmer sisters, and yeah, they're probably my number one stop for the discussion here.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think Roslyn meets you at the dock at the Undercanal, and she says, "You've got a body."
Yeah, a very unusual one, and I need to know where I should be looking.
Why don't we take it into the laboratory? Come on in. And she asks for your help loading it onto a gurney, and then takes you down a few paths to a freight elevator that takes you down into their mansion. And yeah, you come out on a laboratory that you've been in before, when Maya was getting her spirit burns healed. This is where you went. And she says, "Do you want to tell me what I'm looking for, or do you just want me to look?"
I don't hide anything. I also don't hide the fact that I'm not an expert. I'm like, look, this is the notes that I have. This is what I know. You're probably going to want to look for yourself. I need to know what could do this, what I should be looking at. Like, if someone is doing this, is this the kind of ritual that takes days, minutes? Does it require touch? Like, anything you can tell me is going to be helpful.
Yeah. She looks it over and says, "I'm sorry, Strash. Can you tell me the question? I was writing down a note. Can you tell me the questions you had?"
Yeah. So one of the things is that Drav doesn't even understand what could do this, right? Like, if this is done by a ritual, does it take weeks, days, hours, minutes, seconds? And also, what kind of thing would be necessary for this? Does somebody need like a ritual object? Do they need to be within touch range? Like, what's the like any parameters that can help, right? Like, right now he doesn't even know, like, as far as it like Strash knows that it's pretty unlikely that it's a ritual that takes seconds and can be done anywhere and is gonna kill someone remotely, right? Like, that seems unusual and unreasonable, but I do not know, like, how do you protect an emperor from something that you can't even understand the parameters of, right? So is it going to be an actual assassin, or is somebody just going to be in a building near him? Do we have to clear buildings, or do we have to like look at his personal guard? Like,
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. She looks at the body and says, "It looks like they were killed by uh, by poison, and uh, the the spirit severing is, I mean, I don't know what word to use other than surgical. Uh,
Well, Shirji usually takes tools. Are there the equivalent of spirit scalpels and saws?
I've never tried to replicate this work, but I've seen it before. Um,
Would you say that this was not necessarily a murder? Would this person have ingested the poison and offered themselves, like their spirit, as a weapon? Hello, cat.
that's a possibility. I mean, it is so, I don't know what to say other than well wrought. But I don't know I don't know how, I don't know why they would do it this way to turn the spirit into a weapon, but it could just be a type of weaponization of the spirit that I am not aware of yet.
It may not be. It's everything that I've seen so far, from how they make their plans to how they have done this ritual, indicates that we are dealing with individuals that are extremely meticulous. Which leaves me to ask the question, why did I find a body in the middle of a dock given to us by Bluecoats? If you would think that a loose end like this would be very carefully monitored. It's unlike anything else in this case.
There is the possibility that they were interrupted while they were working.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, that's all I could really think of. There is, yeah, I don't know. I've seen 3 other bodies like this in the past 20 years.
When did you see the other two? Or three, I guess. Sorry, she said 3 other. I wasn't sure if it's like I've seen
Yeah,
3
no, like
bodies.
3 more on top of this. One was a gang of drug dealers of hawkers who are no longer with us. Black Silks.
How long ago did this gang exist?
It was before your time. It was 15 years ago.
That doesn't mean that a single one of their members could not have escaped with the technique, but go on.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk to him, the last person, the last scoundrel I saw have this happen to them was his name was Vay Morrison.
Okay.
He was a spider and a good one. And,
Black Silk Spider?
Yep.
Okay.
His the gang had a hound. His name is Pool. He lives. He lives in a shack under a bridge.
I'll track him down.
I remember all 3 of them because these are weird situations. The other person I heard that the other person that this happened with was about 5 years after that, so it was about 10 years ago. His name was Louding Edrad. He was an ink rake.
These are all unsolved cases, huh? Street doesn't know what did this.
Yeah, I don't think any of them had enough pull to have anyone really look into it.
Okay. What's the last
You know,
body?
Audrienne, can't read the name, Lamond.
What is he?
She was a factory worker.
A what? Well, that's okay. Okay. When did this happen?
She was about 8 years ago.
Okay, got it. All right. 15 years, 10 years, 8 years. Okay, I will look into it. What do I owe you for all of this?
How about you keep me in the loop and let me know what happened. I have a professional curiosity.
Done. All right.
And one more thing, Drav, and we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to cut back to Maya.
So dynamic.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she asked you that pointed question. Do you like being in gardens, or do you want to cut the shit and get to it?
I think that's when like sort of Maya finally puts away like the mandate and is like, let's get to it.
Yeah, and I think she like drops her shears like in a nearby bucket and kind of like, puts her hands on her knuckles on her hips and kind of squares with you.
I think that's when, I think Maya likewise sort of draws herself up to her full height as well.
Nice.
And says, I think she just straight up says like, look, we got a neat little package all wrapped up with very detailed notes on, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, how to assassinate the undying emperor.
Yeah, and I think Telsius like looks like definitely like shoots you a look like, oh my God, you're telling her. Like he definitely like kind of he shoots you a look. But he's not gonna step up. Like he's letting you do your investigative thing. And she shakes her head and she says, I'm sure a lot of people would try to do that.
Oh, indeed. I imagine many fine folks would have some vested interest in shaking up the institutional structures that are in place here, but this is probably the closest anyone's ever going to get. Like, they were very detailed. And so, based on past happenings over in these high society circles, I'm merely inquiring as to who may or may not either be at risk or be incentivized to act in whatever ways. So can you help me out?
Yeah. Do you want to make a roll?
Yeah, I'll make a roll.
Cool.
This, I could see it being a question or a relate because
I feel like it's relate. I feel like you put your shit on the table.
Yeah, and is this a risky standard?
It is risky, zero effect.
Oh, can I push myself to?
You always can push yourself for effect. Or you could try and take a different tack to do some setups. Or you could try and figure out how you could go desperate for partial effect and then push yourself the rest.
I was thinking that. I was like, I wonder if I out Telsius if that would put us in a more of a desperate situation. If I add to it, yeah, like if I gesture to Talsius and be like, oh, and this is our liaison from the Imperial City, so I can assure you it's a matter being taken very, very, very seriously. That would that either make it better or worse for me? I'm good with either.
Uh, the same. I think it's very clear that he is an Imperial,
Oh, red.
a very dangerous Imperial agent.
Then yeah, I'll push myself for sub effect. Limited. I got a 4.
Okay.
You do a thing, but there's a consequence.
Uh, so you pushed it to desperate, right?
Oh no, I pushed myself to have
Oh,
risky
okay.
limited. Yeah.
Got it. You kept it risky limited. Cool. Cool. So I'm gonna say you take the consequences. You take damage.
Ooh, cool.
And I think the damage is called High Society Pariah.
Red.
And I think the founding families are done fucking talking to you. Like they are. It's like literally social damage.
That's awesome.
And but you get a partial effect, and she says, the founding families have a complicated relationship with the Undying Emperor. Of course we do. On one hand, he's a sign of stability and the status quo. And we profit from that status quo. We survive and thrive in that status quo. So that's true. He also looms over us. And we are powerful people. We don't like that. But I assure you, if the founding families were going to kill the Undying Emperor, Skinner probably wouldn't be how we do it. And it would take generations of work.
15 years, perhaps?
So I don't know anything about Skinner. I don't know anything about the plans you're talking about.
I think like Maya fixes like Lady Pandaren with like a very keen eye and then looks her up and down, and I think I'm gonna do the Sherlockian jerk thing of going, no, you're right. Having spoken to you this afternoon, I can see that these plans are certainly not the work of the founding families. And then I like looked at Telsius instead of giving him a signal, like we're done.
I think, and then she says, Inspector Tui, one more thing, and we'll cut to Drav, and then we'll get back.
Magic.
Yeah. And I think what Rosalind says is, whoever did this, Sergeant Duran, is very dangerous and very good at what they do. And part of you should be worried about what's going to happen if you don't find them. But I've got to tell you, Drav, be careful if you do.
Oh, Rosalind, you almost sound like you care.
I don't have any illusions about the kind of end people like us come to. We live dangerous lives. But this, she looks at the body and she's like, He turns bodies into meat. This is gross. For someone like me who sees spirits and understands them, this is worse than rituals or cannibalism or ritual scarification. This is disgusting. This is cutting away what makes us human from the body and leaving nothing but meat.
I think Drav takes like a brief inhalation and then says, I've had the somewhat dubious fortune of seeing only the uglier side of humanity. But what I'm hearing is that I'm dealing with people that seek to become either less than human or more than human in their opinion, but they seek to sever themselves from this process entirely. Shoot first, ask questions later. Got it.
Good luck, Sergeant. And now we cut back to Inspector Tui. And she says, I think you need to ask yourself a question. You probably want to ask for a way, you probably want to ask it when you're away from your Quicksilver thug. And that's this. If these plans turn out to be true, if these plans turn out to be feasible, and that information ends up in your hands, Inspector, what is it you like to call our city? A barrel of rats? This barrel was created by the Undying Emperor. So if you're going to keep looking into this case alongside that Quicksilver monster, I think you need to ask yourself, when you find the answers, what are you going to do with them?
And I think like there's that moment where like they lock eyes, and I think Lady Pandora can probably see that like she's definitely gotten under Maya's skin with that comment.
Yeah.
But Maya like refuses to acknowledge it out loud beyond like that look on her face, and then I think just nods to Lady Penderin and says like, "Well, it was delightful chatting, Miss Lady Penderin. I shall see you around. All the best with your gardening."
Mr. Salt will show you out.
Thank you.
And I think Mr. Salt is like an old sailor who lost a hand to a Leviathan, and he's now her butler, and he shows you out.
Like again, Mr. Salt.
Mr. Salt.
And then we'll leave with Telsius, probably in very tense silence.
Yeah. I think in the carriage ride back, because I think coming to Brightstone, you use like Telsius's horseless carriage. He says, "You think this place is a barrel full of rats, huh?"
I have been known to call it that, yes. But you can't look at this place and tell me you don't see similar.
What do you think this place would be without the Emperor?
Like Maya, I think, does sigh and like looks at the carriage as it bounces down the street. And then I think she shrugs and she says, like, the thing with status quo, when you've had it for as long as the city has had it, is that it becomes very difficult, nigh impossible, to imagine a reality without those structures in place. Who knows what would happen? Chaos, anarchy. But why? What do you see when you picture this place that the Emperor tells you, if I may ask?
I'm not an inspector. My job is not to be imaginative. My job is to react quickly and be dutiful and train hard so I don't have to react quickly. I don't commit flights of fancy, Inspector. I don't give in to what ifs and imagination. It dulls the blade.
Telsius, have you ever been out in the Deathlands?
Yes, we've had ranger training.
How far have you ventured out there?
A 5-day trek was about my longest.
See, I don't know about you, but I do find that having the opportunity to spend time away from this place, to spend time, as cheesy as it sounds, with the wind in your face and your hair and the smell of like ectoplasm in your nose, it inspires creativity and imagination.
He smiles, nods. That's why you have your job and I have mine.
Indeed.
Cool. Make a controlled standard observe roll.
Oh, cool. I think I'll just throw some dice and see what happens. Oh, I got a 6.
Yep.
Nice.
Yay.
You feel like what Telsius said about not having an imagination is bullshit. Like that just rang hollow to you. His job demands a lot of imagination. He has to think about what an assassin might do. He has to think about what ifs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like he really just mischaracterized himself. Like it's just something feels wrong about it.
Interesting. Interesting. I think, like, yeah, we for sure get that, like, lingering shot of Maya regarding Telsius with, like, a nod of, like, yes, I believe what you're saying.
Right. Cool.
And did Drop and Maya want to reconvene and have a chat?
Yeah,
or do
I
we
think
wanna...
we're probably where do you want to set this? Is this like a usual lunch, or is it like in the tower? Do we leave notes for each other? What's the plan here?
Oh, I like the idea of it being a lunch or something that's a bit more casual.
Awesome.
The Mustang, shall we say?
Yeah, the Mustang sounds great.
Okay.
I have a question. Is Suresh still there? Because I know that Issa was talking about taking on Suresh as a bodyguard.
Suresh is not around at that moment. Yeah.
So I think Drav actually says that he's got like 3 leads. He's pretty excited, right? Like he's like, yeah, I've got stuff to work. You know, like this case is opening up. Well, it's like we might actually get something. Where did you get with the founding families?
I love it because Maya is like the complete picture of the opposite. Or like when Drav asks that, it's like the shot of like her like putting down a strong beverage.
That bad, huh?
And yeah, Maya looks at Drav and says like, I never thought I would see the day where I would say I would much prefer to speak to the Dimmer sisters than any of the founding families.
Do you, he's got like one cheek is like full and he's like half like chewing through it. It's obvious that like he's got an appetite and he's like fucking, he's fired up, right? Like, so like he's like, did you talk to the McClellans?
No, Lady Penderin. Who...
Oh. The reason I ask is, he goes into this like tirade where he's like, they had a crate of the ghost shit, right? Like they had the drug, which we know is involved with the Immortal Emperor. They've been shady this whole time. We know that they had some money going into the cops being bribed to deal with Skovlanders. We also know that they, the head of the city guard is a McClellan. And we know that he was involved with the whole Iron Hook lady incident in our first case, right? So, like, if I have to pick somebody to have their fingers dirty, they're the ones that I would be poking with forks. I don't know jack about the Penderins, and I think that I don't want to write off the Bowmores, but I know that Bowmore Senior is doing very poorly health-wise, and I know that his son is either in jail or will never see the light of day again. And I like, their involvement with the drug was coincidental. It was a kid trying to flex his muscles. He didn't even know what the hell he was doing, right? So, like, mostly he had gotten something from the Roans, was trying to turn a profit and be, like, a tough guy. He didn't seem to have, like, that calculating cunning necessary to do things like plan to kill the immortal friggin' emperor. Although, your boy goes vanishing. That's motive. I would never discount a man just because his health is poor. So, I think the Penderins are maybe... We have a lot of fish in the sea, but I think that if I had to pin anything on them, the McClellans and the Bowmores are probably the ones that I would look at. The rest of them are just... I don't know. I don't know much about the Strangfords or the Dunvells, but I can't suss out a motive yet.
I would concur. There were absolutely zero leads to follow up on with Lady Penderin. Although I did have an interesting conversation with Telsius on the way back about the Deathlands. But that was about the extent of it.
Telsius talks? Okay. I thought he was just, made of chiseled black Deathland stone. No?
He talks. He was very self-deprecating about having no imagination and that kind of thing, which...
I can't even venture a guess as to what that might mean. Oh, I have to stop by the tower and see if I can get our Silkshore boy to talk to some gondoliers. See if we can figure out where the body may have floated down from. One of the ventured guesses is that a ritual may have been interrupted, which means that the body would have come down to where it's supposed to be from somewhere else. I have so many things to look into, and none of them involve Telsius. I don't say that last part, but I think it real loud.
Yes. That's fortunate. I'm glad there's at least some way to start.
You okay? You look a little self-deprecating yourself, I guess.
I think like Maya takes like a long inhale and says like, honestly, something Lady Penderin said really got to me, which I hate. And that's in this city, this barrel of rats, as I've once said many a time, the Emperor is that barrel.
Yeah. I mean, he points like out a window straight at the like lightning field, right? Like almost literally.
Definitely.
Why's that
Not
getting
that
to
I
you?
would
I mean, it's like saying the sky is black. Obviously.
like flashback to when Maya saw the dazzling daylight. Like,
Drab did not.
No, yeah. I suppose, if anything, it just makes one wonder. All of this effort and exhaustion and pain and death-defying situations that we've put ourselves in, is it doing anything in the long run?
I think Drev thinks about that for like a hot second, sort of like pushes his plate like mostly finished, right? Like there's like the clank of him like setting down his silverware. He thinks about that, and then he says, I think that kind of thinking is what gets you in trouble. I think that all of us try to make all the difference we can in our lives. It's inherent in the condition of living, right? Like, being human is about trying to live desperately until your end comes, because it's coming for all of us. Now, if you try, if you look at the world only insofar as how grand an effect you can have, that is how we get Rowans. It's also how we get immortal emperors. It's not fruitful. I think I've got a little girl that may have a better life, potentially without mass amounts of bloodshed, because I've been alive. And sometimes there are people that die because you're alive too. But I think it's the nature of the condition, right? And I think that when you start fighting for more, well, I don't know, it's a level of desperation that I don't quite have. I don't want to be an emperor.
Ugh, I think like yeah. I think basically shakes her head and just like not disgust, but just like ugh, like
I don't believe in religious nonsense, but I do believe that what we do has to be enough. Because I can't, in the long scheme of things, only look at what sort of effect I have with every action. I have to do the best that I can at the moment that I understand. So that is all we can do any day. I care about the people I know. I try to do better by the people that I can reach. And I don't succeed every day, but I think that's all that life is.
You're right. I feel like we wouldn't have come as far as we've done if we worried ourselves with the long game. It's always been a short game we've played, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
I think Drav stands up. He drops like some coins on the table, and he reaches out and he claps you on the shoulder and he says, "Besides, we'd all be living under Lady Rowan now if the two of us weren't around. That's gotta count for something."
That's a good end to that scene.
Awesome.
Could you imagine Lizette, or wait, what was Lady Rowan's name? I forget.
Oh gosh.
Was it Lizette? No, Lizette is the assassin, right?
Lizette's the assassin, yeah. It was shoot. I think it was an L name or something.
Yeah, I think it was an L name, and I remember her. I remember her in my mind being like Paris Hilton, right? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, man, could you imagine like her immortal majesty with like her deadly stiletto on top of Doskwall? Woo! Yeah, that would not be the same day.
Oh yeah, then you're not worrying about a barrel.
Yeah. Right on. Cool. Do we want to just keep right on rolling, pursuing some leads, interrogating people, or do we want to just like... How are you feeling? Do you want to jump into downtimes? What's the plan here?
Want to keep leg working?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Is Dobbs in his new office yet?
Yeah, he is.
Awesome. I stop by the office. I knock on the door frame.
Hey. How's it going?
How's the new digs?
It's taken some getting used to. I met the inspector I'll be serving. And
Oh, what's their name?
His name is Wester.
Do I know anything about Wester?
He is he's an older Taikarosi inspector, and he's got a one of his arms is like a crab claw, like a giant blue crab claw.
Does he have a nickname?
n- somehow he's just avoided a nickname. Like he's
Okay.
just yeah.
And do I know anything about him? Is he like good? Is he hard on his helpers? Does he like meat pies? Like anything?
He's good. He's good at what he does.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a good inspector. Like
Does he have a favorite drink or food?
yeah. He likes mushroom steaks.
Great. Then I tell the kid that his first job is to find the single best mushroom steak house in the city and to make sure that there will be a lunch there sometime in the next week.
Good tip. Thanks.
All right. I have a job for you.
All right.
And I give him some specs. I give him the whole rundown. I'm like, look, you know gondoliers in Silk Shore more than I do. I need you to go down and find somebody you trust, and I need you to have them figure out where the hell that body could have come from. Because there's a good chance that they weren't killed, obviously, in the canal. So we need to trace, like, the path of the waters at that time, and that's... Only the gondoliers will be able to do that. Like, I don't this way. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know where that back canal is. I'll ask.
Cool.
I'll ask around.
Good luck. Cool. I'm good.
Yeah. I think like the camera stays and we don't see Drav never sees this, but like another liaison comes up and is like, I heard the Sarge paid you a visit. And he's like, yeah, it seems like a nice guy. And he's like, I heard he gave you a job. And he's like, yeah, it's a little Silk Shore thing. He's like, you know what happened to the last guy who went on a job for the sergeant, right? And he's like, what? And he's like, do you know what happened? He was like, no. And he's like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, no, seriously, come on, man. Don't be like that. He was like, oh, well, they got eaten by a demon. Yeah. So don't worry. He probably won't be throwing you into the deep end on your first day, right? Like, who would do that? And like, he just walks away and leaves Dobbs with that. Like, just leaves him.
It's all true.
It's all true.
Oh,
yes, it is. That's the only reason why it's funny.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Even if it's not true, it's still funny. Because, like, first day hazing on the job, very popular, so...
Yeah. He, like, he goes into a closet and, like, takes out a bag and, like, takes out, like, a sawed-off shotgun and, like, checks the barrel and, like, he, like, takes his go bag with him.
Go bags.
And,
recommended by Sarah Connor.
Yes.
All right.
Cool.
Someone in chat said, brings naive hope on every mission. Excellent. All right.
Cool. Brings naive hope on every mission. Nice. Oh, that's brilliant. So funny. All right. Let's do legwork. What's next?
Lauren, do you want to tag someone since we're jumping back and forth?
Yeah. Who's like, yeah, what are our viable victors for like getting some more information out of folks there?
I was gonna go hit the streets and talk to some of the people tied to the deaths. You could look more. Did we ever figure out the name of the squid cult?
No, we didn't. We have not. Yes, we need to look into the cult.
That's a vector. The other thing that you could do is you could try and figure out. So we know that security has been rearranged and moved for the Emperor's visit. You could try and figure out who asked for that, or who had that information and where it could have leaked out from. Because there are two vectors of approach here, right? Like, there's one half of it is clearly someone in the government is either releasing information or being paid to release information. And if we figure out who's paying them, then we can trace the person through that. The other vector is we can figure out mystically who's involved because this type of death is like a fingerprint and try to trace them through that. I have a feeling that we're going to have to work from both sides because even if we get answers on one, we're going to need supplementary information to try and like piece it together. But that's all I got so far. that's where I'm at.
Yeah. This both of this is super good. Yeah, I think it makes sense to dig around into like where that leak came from because we've got meta suspicions about who may or may not be involved in that. But it might be a good idea to suss out who that is and who might be interested. Whether that's like sneaking into records that I shouldn't have access to, or for some reason I have it in mind that sort of nighttime scene of like sneaking into the Lord Governor's office to like dig around in his files.
I mean, you could probably go during the daytime and just flash your badge and ask a bunch of people questions. Like, a lot of the information that you're looking for is secure, but not.
Like, yeah.
I mean, like, we're asking, like, okay, so who would have the plans for. Who would have come up with the security measures for an Imperial visit, right? Like, obviously that's not public knowledge, so it's secret, but it's not, like, secret in the sense, like, I murdered a man and I can't let you know, right? Like, it's...
Yeah. Awesome, yeah. So I guess they've been asking around the office, talking to folks.
There are ministries, too, with paper trails that you could probably dig through. I have no idea what skill is dig through. Is there a research?
Let's see. There is
Is testify the equivalent of research? I mean, that is the paperwork clause, right?
Yeah.
Question and observe.
Oh yeah, question and observe might be good actions to tag to that.
Oh.
Yeah. You wanna make a roll on that?
Yeah.
I think it's controlled great. I think you're
awesome. Yeah, I think I kind of feel like if it's digging around, like I guess if it's talking to folks and to figure out like who's responsible for the security measures, that's more of a question. If it's like a digging around in files, it feels like more of an I can observe.
Tell us what you're doing.
I will. I'll dig around. I'll take the file approach. I'll get busy with my research montage and
sounds good.
Yeah.
As a librarian, I salute this montage.
More people should be doing this montage.
You said it's control grade, right?
Yeah.
Rad.
I'm not just saying that because I'm a librarian either. I think it's actually.
I got a 4.
So you can do it with a lesser consequence, or you have to try a different approach. I think is risky controlled, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe I do go and talk to some folks instead.
So I think. So, like, explain to me exactly what you're looking for, and then I can figure out exactly what.
I think it was like, I guess like perhaps like the security measures themselves, like on record as they stand, and then like a name attached to them for like who might have come up with that or who had access to that information. If there's like a sort of a list of need to knows or folks who have particular jobs for ensuring the Emperor's safety while he's here or that kind of thing.
So I think you trace a bunch of paperwork that has been labeled top secret.
Classic.
To the admiral of the of the naval ship that's parked out in Duskval Harbor. Admiral
Ooh.
Vela Traced. And like there's a ton of paperwork that has recently gone out that is top secret and just isn't on file.
Nice. Is there like a I'm assuming. Oh, I guess my assumption is like there is perhaps like some redacted memos um, that I may have access to. And is there a name on those? Like, did someone author those like reports or memos or like that kind of thing? So I can go and pester.
Yeah, I think you find the woman who was at the high end of the Ministry of Preservation, right? That was Milos Ankaya.
Oh yes, it was Milo.
That her?
Yes, Milo. Yes.
Yeah, her name comes up a bit.
Ah, cool. Awesome. Ew. Can I go and wander down to her office and have a knock on her door? Yeah, I would love to. I would love to do that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you go up there. Yeah, I think she meets you in her office again. There's that weird worn down statue with the burning crown over it, but like only you can see it.
Oh yes, I remember.
And do you bring Telsius?
Yeah, I think this just feels like it's not going to get too weird or freaky. So yeah, I would probably bring Telsius. Yeah, he's here to do his job.
Yeah. She sits you down and says, "Another cup of coffee?"
Oh, please.
And yeah, I think she like starts brewing it like right there, so that like it's like a social thing you'll do together. And says,
I think,
"How can I help you, Inspector?"
I think Maya like was staring out the window at the statue with the burning crown, and then
no, it's not. It's not out the window. It's in the office.
It's in the office. Oh,
it's like a piece of art. It's like a piece of art.
That's right.
In the middle of her office, which is in the middle of the glass dome on top of Gaddock Station.
I have to ask. I think like she's just like, oh, before we get to the necessities, what a fascinating statue you have in your office.
Oh, thank you. My predecessor was a collector of antiquities, and I liked it. I just kept it.
Who's the artist, if I may ask?
It's a Deathlands artifact.
Oh, I think that's like this makes sense now. Deathlands artifact. Well, it's very impressive.
Oh, thank you. A lot of people just see a worn away torso, but I don't know. Something about it really speaks to me.
I can say the same.
Yeah.
I've spent many time out in the Deathlands, but haven't seen anything quite as intriguing or majestic as this.
Majestic. Interesting. I think she is done doing the pour over, and she throws away the grounds and pours you both coffee. Commander, would you like some coffee? And he says, "No, thank you."
Of course, yes, but I digress. I'm following up on some matters regarding the Emperor's impending visit, and I noticed your name was on some of the paperwork regarding his security measures.
The Admiral is trying to keep that as quiet as possible.
I can see there is a good reason to, definitely. What was your involvement in arranging his visit?
Well, I mean, the population of soldiers in Duskfall is about to double. So food had to go to barracks. Barracks had to be expanded. In some cases, moorings had to be reinforced. We've been working on this for well over a year, actually.
Interesting. I seem to recall seeing or hearing somewhere that the plans that had changed at somewhat last minute.
I'm not sure.
And if I may also inquire, I'm assuming that the people who needed to know were quite a small list. Would you mind telling me who else you've been liaising with to ensure the logistics go off without a hitch?
I mean, it's kind of a known secret at this point.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, soldiers talk, right? Right now, there are ships at sea that are slowly moving towards Duskval when that's not where they were going some weeks ago. Right now, there are soldiers who just moved bags of dried mushrooms where stores that have been half filled are suddenly filled to the brim, and closets are being cleaned out so that more food can be piled in. They know something's up. They're just not sure what.
I see. You see, my colleague and I, and then looks at Telsius and is like, "Oh, wait, no, I need to clarify my liaison, my liaison, and I are inquiring into a potential leak, for this very confidential information. It seems some people were rather interested in the Emperor's exec movements. Does Milos know about the assassination? I forget from last time.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll say like people were very interested in the Emperor's movements.
I'm sure. I mean, the only people who are supposed to know are me, the Admiral, and Lord Governor. And to be really honest,
There's the name I was waiting for. Carry on.
To be really honest, I don't even think. I guess. I mean, I figured it out, but I don't think I've really been told until just now. I mean, I work on the movement of food and resources. When I see those things happening, it's easy to figure out if you know what you're looking for.
Oh, of course.
I would think anyone who was watching the rails really closely might be able to suss it out.
Indeed.
Say somebody who's really involved with the Ministry of Preservation? No, it's a genuine question, Judd.
Oh, is Drab there?
No. Strash is asking completely aside from the case.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the person from the ministry that we found last time that was part of the Rorik War is somebody that could have figured something like that out.
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Oh, Red, who is that again? Remind me.
Wait. I think I still have my old case thing here somewhere. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there was someone.
Oh, not Templeton? No, his.
I have the name Vay Templeton, but I don't have any notes next to it.
I don't either. Well, we can figure it out. We can look
And
it
I
up.
know Dejira was on the board for Ministry of Preservation.
Right, before she was arrested.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I guess we should maybe look into who replaced her.
The Hive's not going after the Emperor. They're after a lot of things, but that seems a little outside of their skill set.
Cool.
Fast forward to 3 episodes later. We're like chopping through Hive members. No, I'm pretty sure it's not them. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you have two other people that know about this that you can go and talk to. One of them has papers going to them that's missing. The other one is my own innate sense of suspicion, but probably wrong. I still think
Awesome.
it's. I really do. I really do. All right.
Do you want to get to what Drav is up to while
Yeah.
we?
What's Trav up to?
Oh,
Right,
I think
yeah.
Drav is just doing that like classic like montage of like talking to people, like pointing places, and he's like, he's looking. Okay, so let me get the name straight. Vay Morrison was the spider for the Black Silks, and that
Yes.
is the individual whose soul was severed. The person that I'm looking to talk to, who's the only remaining living member of the Black Silks, is Pool, who used
Yeah.
to be their hound, who lives in a shack under a bridge.
Yes.
Fantastic. I am looking for Pool.
Cool. Yeah, Poole is one of those guys who retired with one stash, right? He's just
Yeah. He's got a
You
little
know.
shack. It's not very great.
yeah.
Drav's gonna retire with zero stash. It's the worst day, but you know, cool. Uh, it's okay, Jed. That's where this life leads you to.
Now I'm sad. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, Poole is there. He's a cautionary tale. Some kids are throwing rocks against his shack at the roof. He like comes out and says, "Stop it!"
I think I give a whistle from like right behind them. I'm like, Bluecoats! You know?
Yeah, they scatter.
Kids. And I look him up. I'm like, hey, are you Pool?
Yeah.
Name is Dravaron. I have a case that I need to talk to you about.
He like steps like back into his shack into the doorway.
Wrong. No, not anything you did. It's something you might know.
Okay.
Don't worry, man. You're not in trouble.
Let's go you'll buy me a drink.
Yes, I will. 100%. I'll take him to some nearby place that's got vaguely edible food and like a decent, you know,
Yeah.
dark
I think-
drink of some flavor.
I think like when he walks in, the bartender's like, "Oh no, Poole. Nope, 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 nope. You're not coming in to cause trouble." And he's like, I got a purse today.
What kind of a bar is this? Is this like a shady ass dive that might have people that aren't just locals here, or like is it like what kind of a joint?
It's kind of a family pub, actually. It's more of
Awesome.
a family pub. Yeah.
I take my hat off. I put the money down on the bar, and
Yeah.
what does Pole
there's-
look like?
Old skinny guy, kind of longish hair, but like nothing on top. A couple days of scruff on him, coming in white.
I make sure to get him some food to go with the drink.
Nice.
And I you know, loosen up my coat, set my badge down on the thing, and I have a polite conversation with him where I start with like, look, a very old case that you are kind of involved in came across my desk, and I give him the talk. I'm like, the name that came up was actually Vay Morrison, and I know that he was a spider for the Black Silks, and I give him the spiel. I'm like, look, his body came up. We know that the death was like highly unusual. There have been murders recently that look almost exactly the same. I need to know what the hell you people were into and who could have done something like this. Like, what am I looking for? What am I looking at? What happened to you? Like, that's it. Do you want me to throw some relate dice? Like, how do you...
No, he'll tell you. I think he's ready to tell you. Like you spent some money. I think he's ready. Says we was a new gang. We just got our our name out in the street. We're about three jobs in. They all went pretty well. A little bit of heat, but nothing terrible. Maybe we punched up a little harder than we should have, but who doesn't? And Vay got really excited about something. And Vay was always had something going on the side, you know, lots of things brewing. He was the brains, and he just had lots of stuff going on.
Sounds so familiar.
He said he wanted to get us into something new, and we'd be the only ones selling it or something. I don't know. It all went paired after that. They disappeared. He just ghosted. And I don't think, I don't know. We had angered some folks, but nobody with that kind of pull.
No, it's not anger. It's whoever he was talking to. Do you know anything about? They were. You said that they were
Hawkers.
hawkers. Okay. So when he said Vay said that we're gonna be the only ones selling this stuff, he probably is indicating some form of drug.
Probably.
Okay. I mean, it's been 15 years. I don't expect a whole lot from him, but I pull out a notepad and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna need a list of whoever Vay was tight with and whatever the fuck you can remember about the stuff that he was gonna sell.
Cool. I think that getting that kind of detail, like coaxing him, that kind of stuff. But let's make a question roll and see if you can get it.
My question is not super great, but we're gonna try. Let's see here. Boop. Yeah, undying question. But I am clean of stress, so that's good news. Let's see here. I'm gonna push myself, obviously. What's my position?
Controlled light.
Yeah. Survey says nothing. Okay. On 1 to 3, on controlled, you falter, press on by seizing a risky opportunity, or withdraw and try a different approach. I don't actually see how to make this risky.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to try a different approach. Do I get anything from him?
He's giving details. It's just not good details. Like
That's
he's
fine.
talking. You know what I mean?
That's fine. Who has been around 15 years ago that would remember this gang? Like, is there a different gang that can point me at it?
Man, who are the old guys? I mean, other than the unseen.
Yeah, I still don't know who the heck is in the unseen. With the lampblacks now? I mean, they were the lamplighters before.
Right. The
But I don't
lampblacks
know
might
how
know.
long ago that was.
The lampblacks might know. I think they
Okay.
probably started right around when you started.
Okay. I think I how much is the guy's tab? I asked the bartender.
It's a coin.
I pay off his tab. And I thank him for his time. And I think my next stop is I'm gonna go to the Lamplex eventually, but that takes a little setup. I can't just walk into their headquarters because that's not how that works. I think the next people that I'm talking to is do the ink rakes have like offices?
Not really. There are like different news sheets that are all around the. There's
Which
the.
one did Lotting Edrad work for?
He worked for the Daily Dusk.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna go to the Daily Dusk and I'm gonna see if there's somebody there that remembers him. Like, is his editor still there? Is like whoever the hell ran the bullpen, like, is there anybody there from 10 years ago?
Yeah. And I think there is like one old editor who's like still around.
Cool. I think I'm gonna see if I can bother him for a moment of his time.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like he's got a an article in front of him and he's like putting red ink on it. And then there's a writer behind him being like, "What are you doing to me?" He was like, "What are you doing to me? What are you doing to the language of Akaros?
Your Akaros is terrible! Terrible!
Go apologize to the Emperor. For goodness sake. Rewrite it." You're cutting me to ribbons. I'm not cutting you to ribbons yet. I'm cutting your work to ribbons.
Okay, okay.
We have a blue coat in the house. Hide your drugs, folks. What brings you here?
I'm looking into an old case, and I'm looking for somebody that remembers Lauding Edrad.
Lauding Edrad. Good lord. Oh, yeah. Yeah, poor kid. Yeah, he got mugged, I think.
It's a very special kind of mugging. He died very unusually.
Huh.
I need to know what he was working on when the mugging happened. Failing that, I'm going to go and look into his old articles, but more specifically, I think that he was killed. I frown, but I don't actually say worse than killed, because I'm like, deeper sister nonsense. Alright, and then I look at him.
Lauding Edrad. 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Poor kid. I'll pull up his articles and have them sent to your office. You guys are over at the Justice Tower now, right? You're the liaison?
That's correct.
I'll have whatever I've got sent over there. Shit, in our archives, we should have his notes. I'll pull them up.
Perfect.
Yeah, we would have archived his desk. I mean, we're real thorough about that.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's most of what I... Do you keep old issues of your prints here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you send me the articles that he worked on that year before he passed?
Yep.
You wouldn't happen to remember which gang territory he was in when he got mugged, would you?
He was in Crowsfoot.
He was in Crowsfoot. I don't say anything, but I'm like, I know Lissa, so okay. Crows have been around for a while.
Yeah, but they've moved folks around. Like Lissa definitely wasn't around 10 years ago.
No, but somebody will have been. Lissa will know
Yeah.
who has been around 10 years ago.
Yep.
They may be retired, whether on 0 or 1 or 2 stash, but they will still be around, probably. Okay, cool. Alright, I think I'm doing some obituary research to figure out who the hell Audrienne Lamond is and which factory she died in.
Yeah, she died in a factory fire.
She died in a factory fire.
Yep.
Aha. Which factory? As I
Uh,
patiently wait for you to bring up the name of the factory manager that I clogged before the story started.
it is not that factory. It's
Oh.
the Trevon, the Trevon paper mill.
Paper mill. Okay. Okay. I'm good.
Cool. Cool. Are we all good? Are we meeting back up again? What are we doing? Maya, do you have what's your next move?
Good question. I was gonna I was thinking about having a small chat with the admiral.
Yeah. Cool.
Was we can do that before we meet up again.
Yeah, I think you can. I think the Imperial Mandate moves you through the chain of command incredibly quickly.
Is the admiral on soil? Or on
No,
boat?
the
Oh,
admiral
they
is
still?
the admiral's
Oh.
on the Imperator. Yeah, it's it's a tremendous destroyer that's off of the coast. And if you remember, the ghost wizard, was going to hijack it and use that to destroy
Yes.
the city.
That's right.
So
Well, maybe we
yeah,
should meet up then before I commit to isolating myself. I don't know, actually. That would be quite reckless. um,
It's up to you.
How much of a journey would it be to catch a ferry out to the Admiral's ship?
oh, you don't have to catch a ferry. You just
Oh,
have to
okay.
show the Imperial Mandate, and like an Imperial naval boat will take you out there.
Uh, that feels reckless. Yeah. I think like Maya is very single-minded, focused on, because she has that kind of like thing in the back of her brain where it's like, fuck, like this list has 3 people on it. And I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I would not be doing my job right if I did that. So I think like is gotta like just at least talk to the admiral, get something down on paper to say like, oh, we spoke to them.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's what she'll do. She'll recklessly just beeline it to where the admiral is.
Cool. Yeah, the admiral greets you on the bridge, and says, "Inspector Tui, I heard the hand of the Emperor himself brought you here. May I see
My
the
effort,
mandate?
yeah.
May I see the mandate,
like
please?"
she like pulls it out and says, I do apologize for taking time away from what I presume is a very busy schedule as we prepare for the Emperor's arrival.
And I think like when you say that, like a couple of the sailors like look, like holy shit, she said it out loud, right? She says, "Thank you, Inspector. That rumor is now confirmed."
I think Maya like shrugs like, well, what? Like we're I'm done playing these games.
Thank you. It looks tip top, and I've just never seen one before. Would you like to sit? Shall we go to my office?
Please, that would be, unless you would prefer for me to speak more candidly in front of your
Subordinates?
subordinates. That may be best.
Let's go to my office.
Why, thank you, and like we'll follow the admiral into.
Don't be a
Into her
knitting
office.
circle, you little hens. She walks away. Well, you know how to make an admiral's life very difficult in less than 30 words. Well done, Inspector. Please have a seat.
I do apologize. That wasn't the sole intent. I will take a seat.
And I'm assuming this is Commander Telsius.
Yes, this is indeed Commander Telsius. He's a.
I think I met you once when the Emperor came aboard my ship during the Unity War. Commander says, "I remember. Good to meet you again." Well, have a seat. Would either of you like a drink? I've got some Scotland whiskey here.
That sounds delightful. I would, of course, take a dram.
Pours a couple fingers for everybody. Commander? I'd love to. There we go. What shall we drink to?
Oh, I think Violet like runs through a lot of things she could drink to right now, and I think let's go to the undying Emperor's good health.
There we go. Clinks and takes a sip. All right. What can I help you with, Inspector?
Look, it's been a very long couple of days. I won't waste your time. You're a very busy person. I'll. We're investigating a potential information leak, and that list is very, 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 very short. And your name is on it.
Soldiers talk.
Indeed, but the way the documents we have on hand suggested a little bit more than scuttlebutt.
I don't know what to tell you. It might have come from a soldier that the Emperor was going to be here, because I'm sure it was a bunch of grunts who who dug out new barracks. I'm sure it was a bunch of grunts who recommissioned a mooring so that destroyers could fit on it. I'm sure it was a bunch of grunts who did work to be able to fasten skyships to the top of Whitestone. So
And tell me, Admiral, would it also be your grunts, your subordinates, who would have an interest in doing harm to the Emperor? For that is what we're investigating.
I don't think there's anyone here who is going to do harm to the Emperor, no.
It's not a bunch of grunts that have troop deployments and movements for a scheduled visit, though. Or at least not usually.
Hmm.
Do you want I don't have many commanders here, but I've got a lot of lieutenants. I've got a kind of command council. Would you like the list of my command council?
Oh, that would be most helpful. I'm guessing they were privy to some level of information about the visit.
I hope that they're smart enough to figure it out, but I did not tell them because I was commanded not to.
Very good. Yes, I would love to take a peruse of that list if you would not mind sharing it with me.
Yep, he writes it down right there. There you go.
Any names look familiar upon first blush?
No, not really at all.
Hmm. I think Maya looks at it and folds it and puts it in her pocket and says, like, well, this is a place to start tying off loose ends, at least. If I'm honest, we don't have a terrible amount to go on, so I'm assuming this will only help clear their names.
Of course.
Based on what you've told me today.
Of course.
To think about
So who knew?
questions.
Ministry of Preservation, Lord Governor. Of course, Commander Telsius knew.
I give a side eye to Telsius. And then back to the Admiral, and Maya nods and says, like, that's the list. It's just the little governor, yourself, Ministry of Preservation, and sort of like gestures to Telsius. So as you can imagine, as I said, I'm not trying to be accusatory. I'm just trying to cross off potential suspects for this leak.
Of course.
And I appreciate that this impending visit could have been intuited by clever individuals. I'm sure there are many of those clever individuals under your employ. So, and then like gestures to the list again and says, "This will help tremendously. Thank you."
You're very welcome.
Hmm. I think that's what I wanted to get out of the admiral.
Okay.
Unless Josh, you had other pressing questions you might want to ask the admiral.
Nope. Also, I'm not there.
Yes.
But no.
Yeah.
It does occur to me. Sorry, I'm still running through my list of accusatory statements against the governor. Let's perhaps we'll reconvene. Do we reconvene again?
Yeah, although I think
Excellent.
again I might like just check Celsius's temperature again, like on a trip back, and we'll
Yeah.
um, ask him in his like professional opinion, like, well, this list is tremendously short. What do you make of it?
As you add his name to the list.
Yeah.
Looks like a waste of time is what it looks like to me.
Oh, is that so?
I mean, you're right. We should run it up. Talk to them. See what happens. I mean, military coups are a historical fact.
Hmm. Well, then we shall continue to run the list if that is your professional opinion. It's an opinion I, of course, take very seriously and appreciate very much. I see Strash making faces.
Strush has a lot of faces. Strush is waiting for us to reconvene.
Okay, yeah, let's reconvene.
I think there's a moment where you folks walk in and our office has the string and the cards and all that nonsense up. And as you walk in, Drav looks over his shoulder, looks back at the board, and then very simply says, Telsius, how would you sever someone's soul very carefully, such that it would be described as having been done surgically? And he turns around and looks at him real calm.
I don't know. Call one of the Imperial Whispers, I guess.
Okay. How do I do that?
I can put in. I can send word to Imperial City. Have them here in a few days if you'd like.
Who killed the ink rake? And I named the date that the guy got burned at the end of our first case.
Yeah. I don't know.
I give him that, like, so you're going to be looking into this, right? Like, look.
So you want to know who killed the ink rake?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
I have another dead ink rake I'm following up on. Accidental mugging. 10 years ago. There's a lot of things that don't quite add up. If you're going to go hard at an emperor, you need to have a really skilled assassin. And I as I say that, I lock eyes with Maya. I'm like, the kind of assassin that could kill kings and queens. It's a question of which assassins are for sale, is all that I'm saying, and which people who could be part of military coups might be intrigued by the possibilities.
He sits down at a desk and starts writing out an Imperial requisition.
So, Maya, how was your... well, actually, no. I think Drav is a lot more formal. I think he says, haven't found anything of great meaning yet, but I've got a whole lot of lines in the water. How about you?
I'm swiftly crossing lines off and tying up loose ends.
What do you have left?
I think like Maya pulls out that list of names that the admiral jotted down, and says, "Well, I had the pleasure of speaking to the admiral and the director of preservation, and I have yet to have the pleasure to speak to the Lord Governor about."
Do you mind if I come along on that?
Oh, it would be my pleasure. I think Maya even like I don't know, like This feels. Yeah, I think by even like scrunches up the paper of like the list of commanders from like the admiral and like tosses it in the trash.
Oh,
Not
wow.
them.
There is a possibility that someone could intuit the Emperor's, people did intuit the Emperor's arrival, but could intuit his movements, his whereabouts. But what we received was far too detailed for presumptions and assumptions and suspicion.
No, it was carefully monitored and planned. Somebody handed them details. It's not guesswork.
Indeed. And so the Admiral, of course, it isn't in their best interest to say so, but suggested that perhaps things just let slip. But I don't think this is something that one pieces together from the bottom up. But yes, as you said, comes from the top down.
I think Drav puts his hands in his pockets and he says, the way of the street is always to take shots at somebody who's a little bit higher than you want to be, right? If you're going to scrap, you're going to scrap for something that's worth taking a bite out of. But the thing is, you never shoot for the very top. No gang starting out with 3 jobs in them is going to head for the Lord Governor. You always shoot inside your range. Even if when you're not staying inside your lane, you're still not so far out of it that you're going to be obliterated if you try. If somebody's taking pot shots at the Emperor, it's not some lonely father angry about a kid that died in Skovland.
I agree.
Celsius nods and puts the.
I flinch as if I had forgotten he was in the room.
And he puts the requisition in a tube and. Whoop. And can we do the Lord Governor when we come back from a break?
Yeah, we should do that.
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
awesome. All right, wonderful folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'm going to have more tea, and we'll see you soon. Hang on. Let me get my... I was not prepared for this. I was not
Lord
prepared!
Governor. Lord Governor's coming.
Hang on 1 second.
I have no idea what this is going to look like. I'm terrified.
And... yeah, we should be good. All right, here we go. And we're back. All right. So, I believe we are going to go and have a chitty chat with the Lord Governor.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea what this is gonna look like. This is wild.
So yeah. Shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, you want to frame the scene there for us, Judd? Like, where do we open? What are we jumping in on?
Yeah, I think you are taking a horseless carriage that's zipping right along across the Beaumont Bridge to Whitestone, White Crown, and you are welcomed into the Lord Governor's estate, and he welcomes you to sit down. Says, Inspector, how can I help you?
Hello, Governor. We're simply here to have a chat about the present state of the case. If you could spare us some 10 minutes or so.
Of course. I assumed we would all have lunch together.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, lunch is served.
Is it mushroom steaks?
It's totally mushroom steaks. Delicious mushroom steaks.
Nice.
I'm Googling mushroom steak. Go on.
Well, the governor, I'm pleased to tell you that we're making progress on the situation.
Very well.
I've myself and my very talented liaison here have been tackling the case from our various strengths. I inquired into I've been inquiring into exactly who had knowledge of what and when regarding the Emperor's upcoming movements and found the list to be very short, which makes sense, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be very secret if all of Duskville knew about it, would it?
Right.
And, well, of course, the people on that list are yourself, naturally. The Admiral and the Director of Preservation.
Mm-hmm.
Where we ran into some trouble is, well, the Admiral and the Director of Preservation claim not to have any idea about any untoward actions or movements toward the Emperor, which makes sense, because of course they would have reported it, wouldn't they?
And so, I can only assume you think I did it.
I'm not saying that, Lord Governor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just merely trying to cross off all the possibilities so we can remove your name from this list. I would not be doing my job very well if I didn't do it meticulously.
Of course.
What was your direct role in managing the Emperor's security detail for while he was visiting?
When the Unity War ended, I had a holographic audience with the Undying Emperor. He said, "The next city I visit will be Duskval." So I began preparations then. That was 3 years ago.
3 years. Well, that makes sense. I imagine it takes some preparation. It sounds like the Admiral has the Director of Preservation has had quite the time trying to find enough resources to staff all of his security detail.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, I'll just put it this way. 3 years is a rather long time to keep something under wraps. I can only imagine the stress it put you under.
No stress at all.
Huh.
Things that put me in stress would be, for example, if one of my inspectors were to take a secret train ride to Imperial City. Because, I don't know. I can only imagine they would do that because they thought I was guilty of something. That's the kind of thing that would stress me out, Inspector.
Oh, Lord Governor. Don't need to be so paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
What was our reason for going there again? I forget.
Oh,
You wanted to go over his head.
Yeah. We literally I literally suspected him of being involved in this. He is 100% right, and we are 100% lying to him right now, and that's okay, because I still think he's involved. He's like, "Oh, you must think that I'm involved." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." You're like, "Oh, Lord Governor, of course not." I'm like, "I'm coming for you, big man."
Yeah, I think mine just played off coy, like, "Oh, no, I don't need to be so paranoid." There was nothing secret about it. We just didn't tell anyone.
I think I just look at him and with the most blasé Drav voice ever, go, "This mushroom steak is delicious."
What's in this gravy?
Garlic.
Garlic is key.
Garlic butter.
Mm-hmm. I'm hungry. What do we want to do, Strash?
Lord Governor, who would have detailed plans on troop movements that are involved in security, particularly recent ones with the rescheduling of the certain paths?
The Admiral is really the only person who would have that kind of troop movement in Duskwall. Outside of the Emperor's court. And I think his eyes like flicker to Commander Telsius for a second and then back.
I smile when that happens, look at him very calmly, and say, "He's already written requisition forms." And then I just say again, "How's your friend? What the hell was her name? The handler for our favorite assassin, Lizette."
Oh, we had a bit of a falling out after that case. I haven't spoken with her.
She's still in Doswell, though, correct?
Probably. I don't think she had the resources to leave.
We'll check with the trains. I have all the questions that I have needed to ask Lauren. Do you have anything else you want to dig for?
Squid cults.
He's not going to tell us even if
No,
he
I
knows.
know. No, I think that's all. Yeah.
Were the plans that specific?
That specific.
Well, Lord Governor, thank you so much for lunch.
Thank you. I am frustrated that you would go over my head, but I am also confident that if someone is going to muck about, find what's going on, it's going to be you two troublemakers.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You should. You should. You've done exemplary work, as I've said before.
I think I stand up, like, since obviously this meeting's over and we're kind of wrapping up, right? And I set my napkin down very carefully, and then I pause and I give him one of those signature Drav one-liners, right? Like, where I lock gazes with him and I say, "We will find the people that are involved with us. All of them."
Good.
It was terrifying.
All right, I'm good
Yeah.
here, Lauren.
I think we're good. Yeah. That was a lot less scary than I thought it was going to be.
Cool.
I think Drav on the way out just says, "I really, really hope he's guilty."
I think Myas
Nice.
is like, I know we shouldn't let that cloud our judgment, but fuck, I hope so too.
Cool.
All right.
And I think when you get back, there is a box of articles from Louding Adrade. Lots of stuff. He was really interested in import-export. He had a sister who was in the Ministry of Preservation, and he just thought it was really interesting. She was never involved in the articles, but he did a lot of work on that. A lot of work on like black market material and how it got into the city. He did a pretty good expose on drugs and like how spark pipes were created, and like how they got distributed, that actually got him into some trouble.
I focus on that, but go on.
Yeah, and I think the notes that he had when he left were were about uh yeah, it was about the Severosi black market.
Black market dealing in just like in Duskwall, there's a Severosi black market, or like
Like the way that the Severosi get in and out of Duskval and can bring items in totally under the fence, you know?
okay, all right.
I mean, I think the, because because Maya has this like awesome weird uh, way of relieving stress, a really awesome weird vice. I think in this game, the fact that you can get in and out of the lightning fence is really underplayed. Like that's something a gang would work their whole lives to get is a tunnel that can get under the lightning fence. And Maya probably has to work really hard to like find where the new tunnel is. Like, you know, as hard as any addict would have to work to find where the good drugs are. So I don't want to underscore how difficult that is getting out into the Deathlands and past the lightning barriers without coming in on a train or coming in on a ship, where the docks are highly regulated and the rails are very regulated. So yeah, Loudon was doing some work on how to get past lightning fences.
How
I
old is
wonder.
Suresh?
What's that?
How old is Suresh?
Uh, she is late 30s.
So she would have been around 10 years ago.
She probably would have been in the Unity War 10 years ago.
Okay, but she'll know somebody in this gang
Yeah.
that probably would not
Yeah.
have been. Okay.
Could be.
Drugs, huh? Okay. Okay. 10 years ago. Lightning fences, Severosi black market. Got it. Excellent. Does is our favorite Bluecoat show up with any info? And a
Oh,
shotgun?
yeah.
Nogs? Is that his name?
Yeah. Noggs does. He comes back alive.
Good. I'm sorry. I feel real bad about that last one.
He says, so I found something. It's kind of weird.
Good. Weird is kind of what we specialize in.
Yeah.
Have you met my inspector? I laugh like it's not a thing. It's a thing.
And he takes you to this gondolier that he paid, and he's like, first I want you to show them what you showed me about where bodies usually end up. And like the gondolier kind of weaves around the canals and is like, because of the way the canals run.
Does Maya want to come along on this? Because I'd really like
Yeah.
you there. But I would also like to downplay it and see if I can get you away from Telsius.
Thank you. On so many levels.
Okay. Because I have a point to make outside of his presence. Go on, Judd.
Yeah. The gondolier shows you like the way the canals move with the tides and why most bodies are found, and like he takes you to like the places where people go when a body's been thrown in the canal. Like there are places like Silkshore Bluecoats just know to go. It's like, and they're called things like Blood Dock and the Tomb Docks and the Graveyard Docks. Like it's not subtle because everyone knows when a body's missing, this is where they'll end up once the tide goes out or once
Okay.
the tide comes back in. And that back canal is not one of them. It's a strange one.
Okay, so,
So
how does the body end up there? Like, where would it have to go from in order to end up here?
right, and so he guides you through. Like he circles back around to that canal, and he's like, let's think it through. Um, the They found this, based on the time of day they found it. Um, we think it was going out with the tide, so it was coming from this direction, and he like goes off with that direction, and he's like, but Deskaball is complicated. Deskaball has under canals, and he like kind of goes like almost over a little waterfall, and like goes down to like another level, and he's like, so this, when the tides come up, this under canal fills up, but right now it's clear. So it could be that the body sat in here for a while, maybe a day, and then kind of leads you through this under canal and then into this little pool. And you can see like where when it's high tide, like the entryway fills up, but the whole this whole little cove does not fill up. And it's this little like beach underneath the city, and it is creepy as hell.
Yeah, don't say.
It's just this raw little weird beach underground, and he says this is probably where the body came from.
Okay. Maya? Do you want to look around, or...
I would love to look around.
And you can also look around.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a really weird thing to remind you of. So, it's pretty clear that whoever is doing this is not like me. I'll put it that way. So, we're talking about somebody who has learned a very particular technique, and they've been practicing it for over a decade and a half at least, that we know of. It could be more than one person. It could be something that's taught to people, like, in descent. Like, a cult will have, like, masters and apprentices, like whispers that pass on particular skills, assassins that teach rituals that imbue you with the power to do something like this. But there is something that's been bugging me about the way that the Dimmer sisters have described it. And they describe it as methodical and surgical. And that doesn't... Surgical indicates science. A cult is about passion, right? Like, you worship a god in a very specific way, and you're tied to very specific things. Which means that if I were to say that somebody in the city was committing, like, for whatever reason, they've decided to commit murders, and in particular, they've decided to commit murders where they remove souls and spirits from people, the kind of person that could go bad and still have this skill set, the same way that if I saw these kinds of cuts in a body, like physically, I would say that we are looking for somebody of the medical profession. So we should look at doctors and doctor trainees. Now, the thing is that I'm pretty sure that this person's been in Doskville for more than a decade and a half. So all of the shit that we've gotten Telsius doing looking into the Imperial City is probably bogus. Like, I'm not expecting to come up with anything other than possible information there. Mostly I'm keeping him busy. But the type of person that would turn into something that would do something like this could possibly be a spirit warden. So there is a chance that it's a cultist, could be a spirit warden that's gone a little too far one direction or another. We don't know who the fuck any spirit wardens are. They're basically the unseen. But the kind of person that would have the knowledge and the science to do something like this, that is where I would be looking. and we still have one crate of immortality serum missing. And we know where it ended up. It ended up in Bellwether. But, like, who does it, what they do with it, why they would want it is well beyond me. But it might be something to keep an eye out and our minds looking at.
Yeah.
It may be completely unrelated, but we don't have solid leads. We have a lot of suspicions. And we're sniffing real hard, but I think that this is another thing that we can sniff at. And I didn't want to say anything because, among other things, Telsius has keys to Bellwether. And I don't know if his job description might meet something like this. As a matter of fact, how long ago did you say that he met the Admiral? Did she say 8 years ago or 10 years ago? I'm curious.
I think it was 8.
Okay. So, I do have a body 8 years ago. I'm just saying. Something to keep in mind. I don't actually suspect him for any ill doing, but I'm saying that something like that could be related. Like the timing is suspicious. All right. In which case, that's all I had to vomit out outside of Telsius' presence. If I want people investigating the Spirit Wardens, I don't necessarily want somebody who has keys to the Spirit Warden mansion 100%, responsible for something like that. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all I got.
Rad.
Drop stews. So, I don't know if you want to take a look at this cove. I mean, I can look with my eyeballs and see if there's, like, footprints and weird ritual circles, but that's all I got.
I can maybe take a gander through the ghost field to see if there's any residue of, like, old clues.
Yeah.
Do be careful, though, because whoever is skilled at this might leave booby traps and stuff like that, and we've gotten bit before. So just take your time and be extra cautious.
Nice.
I say to the reckless individual.
Trying to figure out what this looks like. I've already gone for one dip in the canal. Oh, you know what it is? Yeah, I think Maya kicks off her boots. And like probably I'm imagining it's like kind of a pretty like shallow sort of cove we're in, like it maybe goes up to your knees or
Yeah.
like that. I think yeah, she sort of like steps off of the gondola we're on and then stops like when she's on that raw sand and like really like digs her toes into the earth to sort of like ground herself there. And then I think she like sort of pulls out that ghost monocle that we've seen her use before, and like put it over one eye as she sort of just like does a tertiary like a sort of peripheral like look through it to see if there's anything that lights up through the ghost field. Maybe that requires more swimming in the canal. We'll see.
Cool. Let's make a roll. Risky standard.
Okay.
Consequence canal rot or whatever disease you can catch from that.
I think yeah, let's do that.
Canal rot. Ooh.
Oh, I got 1 6 in there.
You sure did. That's all you need. There's not a lot here, right? Because like it's easy to find the moment you're looking for because no one comes here. And you feel again a presence. Well, actually, last time, so you see you see some kind of squid god coming in and out of this place.
That
and
is
like
terrifying.
and looking for something. And not finding it. But you then look to the shore, and I think the squid god is kind of like floating above, like it's not actually there. What you're seeing are the reflections of it having been there, right? So you're not actually seeing it. You're seeing evidence of it in the ghost field, right? You're seeing like reflections of it, and you know, a star is 1,000 miles away, and so like we're not actually seeing the stars glowing. We're seeing like the light traveling, right? It's the same type of thing. You're seeing like this thing that has been here, and you're seeing the reflections of it. You see a man, and he's carrying a body, and there is something next to him that looks like their spirit has been altered so that exactly this type of thing won't be able to find them. Right? And so like it hurts to look at him. Like it looks like a piece of the ghost, like if the ghost field is film, it looks like someone just burned away that part of the film. Because they don't want people being able to find evidence of them the way you're doing it right now. Like that's why someone does that. And so like the guy who is holding the body says, is he okay? And like some scratchy voice, like it's not a voice, like scratch and feedback, because they've edited themselves out of the ghost field. You can't see them, but they say something that just sounds like a high pitch. But you know that's not what it sounded like at the time. That's just what you're seeing because you're only seeing a reflection. And like the person who is not spirit edited puts the body down and says, "You'll deal with the spirit." And there's like a screech, and they say, "I'm going to," and then there's another screech that stops him from saying what he's going to do. And like he's like, "That careful?" And like there's like some, again, murmuring screeching from this voice, and he like looks around like as someone watching us right now. Like he doesn't understand what the other person is scared of, and he says, "I'll leave you to it then." And he turns and walks away. He's fairly nondescript. He does have like, there is like under his shirt you can see like a tentacle tattoo. Like you can see it kind of poking up over like, you know, like right here on his neck where his sweater doesn't hide. He's got kind of like almost like a fisherman's sweater on. And the edited out squelch of a human being who you can't see.
Jed, I'm gonna pause you.
Yeah.
Fisherman's sweater, are we talking an extremely complex one? Like an identifiable one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
For those of you watching that perhaps are not as interested or have good friends that are super into knitting, fishermen's sweaters traditionally have exceedingly complex patterns because you make them such that the body can be recognized when it gets fished out of the water.
Right.
That's why I'm asking the question. Carry on.
I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet earlier this week.
I have one of my best friends. She
awesome.
runs the local. It's like I actually don't remember the name of the official organization, but they're like the yarn/thread skilled people.
Oh, awesome!
And they have like big sales and everything, and so she's super involved in all of that. I mean, I have a giant loom in my living room that's like folded up currently, but yeah. So
I saw a tweet about it earlier, so it's been on my mind. Awesome.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so you see that person kind of lean over the body, and the ghost is still attached to it, and you hear the person kind of whisper to the ghost, and almost like put it into a trance, the way you would when you wanted a ghost to just be still, and then you see a thing come, like, it's weird because it's edited out, right? But you see like the scalpel or whatever the hell it is. And it's like a little spirit hook, like the size of a knife. And it it had like there's a wire that comes down and then goes into the blur, so you can't quite see what it is. But when it turns on, it like cuts. Like you can see like it's electroplasmic, and you see him like kneel next to the body and just very slowly and methodically over the course of about a half hour cut away the spirit. Um, and then and like he, he's like in a like a susurrating whisper, keeping the spirit asleep while he's doing this, which is a ridiculous amount of whisper skill. And then uh, he puts the spirit like on the water and puts some oil on the water on the spirit and lights it on fire, and it like the water steams, but there's no real oil residue, and uh, there's no evidence that like a ghost was just incinerated here because it's on the water. And then like the oil kind of burns away, and it'll be washed like you see like him kind of kicking away the oil and kind of dissipating it, and then he takes the body and floats it out, and like turns off the knife. And
So the giant squid god does not eat the body or the spirit.
no, it does not.
Mm.
It does not. Um, and yeah, and then he walks away. But yeah, there's like just an edited out splotch of a person.
Okay.
It's really bad because my first thought was like, can we strip search the Lord Governor for tentacle tattoos?
You may not.
No. Yeah, I guess like I'm curious, like does Maya get sort of snapped out of this, or it kind of is like
Yeah, I think you were successful, so you just come right
Oh.
out of it as you want. Yep.
oh rad, yeah. I think I come to, and Maya like just looks straight at Narav and is like, squid cult.
Squid cult?
Squid cult.
So I take it you have something more than we've found before.
In a way.